Have you ever caught yourself saying, I just don't have the energy I used to? Maybe you're not bouncing back the way you did 10 or 20 years ago. The little things, like bending over to tie your shoes, walking up the stairs, or even getting a good night's sleep, suddenly feel like bigger tasks than they used to be. It's not just aging. It's how we treat ourselves as we age that makes all the difference. You see, there's something a lot of people over 70 do, and sometimes without even realizing it, that slowly, quietly chips away at their health and steals years off their life. And the scariest part? It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in little by little, disguised as rest, convenience, or just the way things are now. But the truth is, you still have so much life ahead of you. So many sunrises, hugs, laughs, meals, and memories waiting to be made. And this one habit, or should I say, this one mistake, can get in the way of all that. What is it? It's doing less and less and less until doing nothing becomes your new normal. Now, I'm not talking about taking a break when you're tired. I'm talking about the kind of stillness that sneaks up on you, the kind where days start to blur together because you've slowly stopped engaging with the world around you, where routines get so quiet and small that they stop bringing you energy and instead start draining it, where your muscles shrink, your mood dips, and your world feels smaller every day. The dangerous habit I'm talking about is long-term physical and mental inactivity, and it doesn't always look obvious. It can be as subtle as sitting too long in front of the TV, skipping social outings because you're too tired, or telling yourself that walks just aren't necessary anymore. It can be reading the news but not picking up the phone to talk to anyone about it. It can be falling into the rhythm of staying still, physically and emotionally, because it feels safer or easier. But here's the thing. The human body is not meant to go still, especially not after 70. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I've earned the right to rest. And you're absolutely right. You have. After decades of working, raising families, navigating life's ups and downs, you've earned all the naps, quiet mornings, and peaceful afternoons you want. But rest is very different from withdrawal. And when we stop engaging our bodies and minds, we're not just slowing down. We're sending a message to every part of ourselves that says, you're done. And you're not done. Your heart is still beating. Your brain is still firing. Your muscles are still waiting to move. Your spirit still wants to feel alive. When we stay inactive for too long, our muscles weaken, our bones become more fragile, and our balance gets worse. That means a higher risk of falls, injuries, and hospital stays. It means slower recovery from illnesses, more pain in the joints, and even trouble going to the bathroom regularly. But it doesn't stop with the body. Your brain is affected too. Lack of movement and stimulation can increase your risk of memory problems, anxiety, and even depression. But here's the good news. It's not too late to turn things around. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. You don't even need to leave your house if that's too much for now. What matters is that you don't give up on movement and engagement, because doing so is what silently steals years off your life. Not just a number of years, but the quality of them. Let's talk about one of the first ways this shows up. Something so simple it's often overlooked. Sitting too much. Most people don't think twice about how much they sit in a day. A little reading here, a few TV shows there, maybe a crossword puzzle, and before you know it, you've been in the same chair for hours. And while sitting itself isn't the villain, it becomes dangerous when it dominates your day. When you sit too long, your circulation slows down. Your legs stop getting the oxygen and nutrients they need, your hips stiffen, and your back can start to ache. On top of that, your blood sugar and blood pressure can rise, your metabolism slows down, and your risk of heart disease increases. And what's really surprising, even if you go for a short walk once a day, if you spend the rest of it sitting still, your body still registers that long stretch of inactivity as harmful. But this doesn't mean you have to stay on your feet all day. A simple change, standing up every 30 to 60 minutes and stretching or walking around the room, can make a big difference. Set a gentle alarm if you need to, or make a habit of walking to the window and watching the world for a moment. These are small choices, but they signal something powerful to your body. We're still in motion. We're still participating. And while we're on the subject of movement, it's not just about exercise. It's about connection too. Human beings thrive when we feel part of something. When we have a reason to get up and get going, even if it's just to call a friend, cook a meal, or step outside to water the plants. Isolation is another silent thief of years, and often inactivity and isolation go hand in hand. You might have noticed this in others. Someone retires and slowly becomes more withdrawn. They don't drive as much anymore. They stop visiting friends. Their days get quieter. And then, suddenly, they seem to age faster. Their memory gets foggier. Their energy drops. It's not just a passing of time. It's the lack of living. And maybe, just maybe, you felt a bit of that in yourself. But I want you to know this isn't a one-way road. You can reverse it. You can bring back the color, the rhythm, the movement. All it takes is one step, one action. Now that we've talked about the importance of staying active, both physically and mentally, let's look a little deeper at how we can gently build habits that bring life back into our days. And the beautiful thing is, those habits don't have to be complicated. In fact, they shouldn't be. The simpler they are, the more likely you are to stick with them, and the more they'll become natural parts of your daily rhythm. Let's talk about one small but powerful shift that many people overlook. Waking up with a reason to move. You know that feeling when you wake up and just lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking, well, I got nothing to do today? That's not just a slow start. It's a message to your whole body that today doesn't matter. And over time, if enough mornings start like that, your energy fades, your enthusiasm fades, you start to fade. But when you wake up with something, even one tiny thing, you're excited to do, your body responds. Your brain lights up, your blood starts flowing, and suddenly your whole system is alert and ready. That something could be as simple as making a nice breakfast, calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, walking out to the mailbox with a little extra pep, or even stepping outside to water a flower pot. The goal isn't to be busy, it's to feel alive. One woman I know, she's 82, starts every morning by dancing in her kitchen while the coffee brews. Nothing fancy, just a little sway to the music on her radio. But she says it makes her feel like she's saying yes to the day instead of dreading it. That energy carries through, and people notice. She glows. So, what's your reason to move in the morning? If you can't think of one, create one. Lay out your walking shoes next to the bed. Plan a 10-minute stroll. Write a few lines in a journal. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. And while we're on the topic of routines, let's talk about another sneaky habit that cuts years off life, especially after 70, and that's skipping meals or eating too little because you're not as hungry anymore. Now, I get it. Appetite changes as we age. But a lot of people mistake that loss of appetite as normal when it could be a sign that their body isn't getting the stimulation it needs. The truth is, our bodies still need fuel. Maybe not in the same quantities as when we were younger, but quality matters now more than ever. Skipping meals, or eating mostly snack food, sweets, or processed things, can lead to a lack of nutrients that your body desperately needs to function well. Your muscles shrink faster. Your bones weaken. Your immune system can't fight like it used to. You feel tired more often. And even your mood takes a hit. Now imagine this happening day after day, week after week. Suddenly, it's not just about energy. Your body starts to age faster. And this is where eating becomes more than just a physical act. It becomes an act of self-care. A way to say, I'm still here and I still matter. A warm, balanced breakfast can set the tone for your whole day. A colorful lunch with fruits and vegetables? That's not just fuel. That's nature's medicine. And dinner? That can be your moment of comfort, your time to reflect, or even a reason to invite someone over. If cooking for yourself feels lonely, try making extra and freezing portions for later. Or call someone up and ask if they'd like to share a meal, even if it's just over phone. It's amazing what a shared meal, or even the sound of another voice, can do for your heart. But maybe the most important thing here is awareness. So many people start shrinking their lives without realizing it. First they stop going out as much. Then they stop cooking real meals. Then the days get quiet and still until all the color starts to drain from life. And that's not what these years are meant to be. They're meant to be rich, full of flavor, of movement, of purpose. You still have stories to tell, things to try, and smiles to give. But for that to happen, you've got to keep stepping into life. Every single day. One man I met, he's 76, used to struggle with this. After his wife passed, he said he barely left the house. Meals were whatever he could microwave. He watched hours of TV. And he told me, I just felt like a ghost in my own life. But then one day, he found an old camera in a drawer, and he decided to take a picture every day of something that made him smile. A tree outside, a neighbor's cat, his coffee mug in the morning light. And just like that, he had a reason to step outside again. He made friends with people on his street. He started cooking more, even inviting others over to share a meal. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And he told me something I'll never forget. I feel like I started living again. So what about you? What's still waiting for you to rediscover? What simple shift, what small choice could bring you back into your own story? Maybe it's picking up that paintbrush again. Maybe it's calling your grandkids more often. Maybe it's joining a walking group or taking care of a plant. Maybe it's something you've never done before, but have always wanted to try. Whatever it is, don't wait. Don't let stillness write your ending. You get to decide what these next chapters look like. And the more you choose action over apathy, connection over isolation, and nourishment over neglect, the more you give yourself the gift of more life. Let's keep going. And look at how your mind plays into all this. Because sometimes the most dangerous things we do aren't even physical. They're the thoughts we repeat to ourselves without question. Because our thoughts shape so much more than we realize. And the truth is, what we believe about ourselves, especially after 70, can either lift us up or slowly pull us down without us even knowing it. There's something deeply powerful about the stories we tell ourselves. I'm too old to try that. Nobody needs me anymore. It's too late for me to change. You might have said something like this out loud before, or maybe just thought it in passing. And while those words can seem harmless, repeated often enough, they become a kind of quiet poison. It's the inner script that says your best years are behind you. And when you start believing that, you begin to live like it's true. But let me tell you, those thoughts are lies. They come from fear, from loneliness, from years of being told to slow down or take it easy. And yes, while we may not move as fast as we once did, that doesn't mean we stop moving altogether. Growth doesn't have an age limit. Discovery doesn't retire. I once met a man who learned how to play the piano at 75. He said he did it because he always loved music, but never had the time before. He wasn't trying to become a concert pianist. He just wanted to play a few songs for his grandkids. And every day as he practiced, he told himself, I can still learn. And you know what? He did. And that belief made him look and feel 10 years younger. So I'll ask you, what beliefs are you carrying that are quietly stealing your energy? Your joy? Your spark? Are you telling yourself you're too old to matter? Too tired to change? Too alone to connect? Because those beliefs have weight. They influence your posture, your tone of voice, your decisions. They can shrink your world before anything physical ever does. That's why it's so important to become your own biggest supporter. Talk to yourself with the same kindness you'd use with a dear friend. Instead of saying, I can't, try, I'll see what I can do. Replace it's too late with, it's not too late for something new. That little shift in language, it changes everything. Now let's talk about something else that quietly cuts years off our lives. Loneliness. And I don't just mean being physically alone. I mean that deep sense of disconnection, even when people are around. That feeling that no one truly sees you anymore. That you're invisible. And the heartbreaking thing is, this kind of loneliness doesn't make a loud entrance. It sneaks in. Maybe after retirement. Maybe after losing a partner. Maybe after adult children move away and calls get fewer. The world around you keeps spinning, but you feel like you're watching it through a window. But we're not meant to live on the sidelines. We're wired for connection, for laughter, for hugs, for meaningful conversations, even about the simplest things. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can be just as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It weakens the immune system, raises blood pressure, and increases the risk of cognitive decline. But perhaps most painfully, It chips away at your will to live. That's why finding, even the smallest, way to connect matters so much. It doesn't have to be a big social group or a crowded room. It can be one neighbor, one friend, one smiling stranger at the park. It can be joining a book club, a faith group, or even just showing up weekly to the same cafe and chatting with a barista. And if mobility or transportation is a challenge, there are still options. More and more communities are offering phone circles or video chats for seniors. Libraries host events. Local community centers often have classes or discussion groups. All it takes is a little courage to show up. I know that first step can feel intimidating, especially if you've been feeling isolated for a while. But the truth is, there are people out there who would love to know you. People who need your stories, your wisdom, your presence. You're not done giving, and this world is not done needing you. Even reaching out to a younger family member with a simple text or call to say, "Thinking of you," can spark something beautiful. You never know what door might open when you offer just a little bit of warmth. And if you're thinking, "But I'm just not good at making friends," I'll say this. Connection doesn't require perfection. You don't have to be charming or witty or full of energy. You just have to be yourself. Honest, kind, open. That's all people really want anyway. The years after 70 can be full of beauty, depth, and even adventure, but only if we stop silently sabotaging ourselves with beliefs that we're too old, that no one cares, or that it's all downhill from here. Because it's not. It's your time to embrace slow mornings, meaningful conversations, homemade meals, long walks, and the quiet joy of watching a sunrise from your porch. Your pace may be different now, but your spirit, it can still burn bright. You don't have to do everything at once. Just one small change, one better habit, one loving thought each day is enough. Enough to shift the direction of your health, your mood, and your outlook. There's no expiration date on joy. No age limit on change. And certainly no rule that says you have to spend your later years feeling less than alive. You've come so far. You've lived, lost, laughed, loved. And now, you're standing at the edge of what could be the most meaningful chapter yet. Not because it's fast or flashy, but because it's yours. So choose wisely. Choose to move, to nourish, to believe in yourself again. Choose to be seen, to reach out, and to live with curiosity instead of fear. You are more powerful than you think. And your life, it still matters. Deeply. And if you've stayed with me this far, I want to say something important. Something you might not hear enough. You matter. Right now. As you are. Not just for who you were in your younger years. Not just because of the roles you once played, parent, spouse, worker, but because you, as a living, breathing, feeling person, still carry so much value. And your choices today still shape your future. We've talked a lot about habits and patterns that quietly take years off your life. And I know it can feel overwhelming to think about changing things, especially if they've been part of your routine for decades. But change doesn't have to mean turning your whole life upside down. It can be as simple as pausing before reaching for that extra glass of wine every evening, or choosing to spend just 10 minutes stretching instead of sinking deeper into couch, or gently replacing a critical thought about yourself with a kinder one. Small, intentional acts. That's where transformation begins. You see, there's something beautiful that happens when you start choosing life again, not just surviving, but really living. Your body responds. Your mind brightens. Your relationships deepen. You find yourself smiling more, even laughing unexpectedly. You start noticing little joys again, like the way the light hits the kitchen floor in the morning, or the softness of your favorite sweater, or the sound of birds outside your window. And that kind of awareness, that kind of gratitude, it's powerful. It rewires your brain for hope. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to reverse time. All you need is the willingness to care for yourself a little more today than you did yesterday. Whether that means eating something fresh instead of processed, calling someone you miss, or simply stepping outside for fresh air, it all adds up. I know some days feel heavy. I know it's easy to say, "What's the point?" when your joints ache or your energy is low or people don't seem to notice you as much as they used to. But that is when your decision to keep going, to keep loving, to keep showing up matters most. Not just for your own life, but as a beacon for others around you who are watching, quietly wondering if aging has to mean disappearing. Let me say this clearly. It does not. Aging is not the end of your story. It's just a new chapter, one with depth, wisdom, richness, and calm that younger folks haven't earned yet. You have something they don't, the ability to see what truly matters, to slow down, to appreciate, to be present. And if you ask me, that's the real superpower. You may not be chasing the same dreams you once did, but maybe now is the time to chase meaning, to choose what nourishes your soul instead of what just fills your calendar. Maybe now is the time to try painting again, or to volunteer at the library, or to sit with a neighbor who's lonely. Maybe it's a time to write down your stories, not because they'll be published, but because they deserve to be remembered. You still have time, not forever, but enough to make better choices, enough to feel proud of the way you treat yourself, enough to forgive, to let go, to reach out, to love deeper. There's no magic pill for long life, but there is a recipe, and at the heart of it are choices guided by love, for your body, your mind, and your spirit. Choices like saying yes to fresh food, to joyful movement, to people who make you feel alive, and saying no to habits that drain you, like endless sitting, mindless snacking, staying silent when your heart wants to speak. You may not control how many years are left, but you can shape how those years feel. You can wake up with purpose. You can go to bed knowing you cared for yourself and others. And in doing so, you create something so much more valuable than just living longer. You create a life that's worth living. So I want to challenge you, not to change everything overnight, but to choose just one thing to do differently tomorrow. One thing that tells your body, your heart, and the world, I'm still here, I still matter, and I'm still living on purpose. Maybe it's a walk around the block. Maybe it's skipping the sugary snack. Maybe it's calling your sister. Maybe it's sitting quietly and breathing deeply for 5 minutes before the day begins. Whatever it is, do it with intention. And then the next day, do it again and again until it becomes part of who you are. Because you are worth the effort. You are worth the love. And yes, you are worth the years you still have left. So if this video sparks something in you, even a tiny flicker, I hope you'll hold on to it. Let it grow. Let it guide you to a healthier, more joyful tomorrow. And if you feel like sharing, I'd love to hear what resonated with you the most. Drop a comment below. What's one habit you're ready to leave behind after 70? Or one small change you're inspired to try? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. It really does help more people find it. And if you like more warm, practical tips for living your best life after 60, hit that subscribe button. We're building a beautiful community here, and you belong in it. Remember, no matter your age, it's never too late to start living well. You've still got so much ahead, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. Take care of yourself. You're not just getting older, you're getting wiser, stronger, and more you with every passing day. Here's to living your best life at any age.